That growl is the last thing Iranian gunboats hear. 40 feet over the Strait of Hormuz, an A-10 Warthog, a tank killer, is shredding a swarm of boats with a cannon older than its pilot. The Air Force tried to scrap it 4 times. So why is the ugliest jet ever built the most feared thing over the world's oil? This is Operation Epic Fury, the 2026 war between the United States and Iran, and it is happening right now. It is being decided over one narrow strip of sea. Everything about tonight comes down to the water. Something like 1/5 of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz. At its tightest, the channel pinches down to about 20 miles across, with Iran's coastline leaning over the whole thing like a loaded hand. Close it, and you don't just hurt one country. You spike the price of everything, everywhere, by morning. And Iran was never going to fight this with a real navy. It swarms instead. Picture dozens of small, fast attack boats. Cheap, low, quick, and at a glance, impossible to tell from a fishing skiff. Now add one-way attack drones, the Shahed type, droning in low toward anything that leaves a wake. Add naval mines, dropped quietly by boats that look exactly like everyone else's boats. This is the threat that has kept admirals awake for 30 years, because it was built from the start to have no clean answer. You'd think this is a job for a fast jet. It isn't. An F-35, an F-15. These are the crown jewels. They're also doing 4, 5, 600 knots. They flash across the target, and they're already gone. They can't loiter. They can't hang over one patch of sea for hours, staring, waiting, sorting the fishing dhow from the suicide boat. And when the whole problem is figuring out which one of 40 boats is the killer, raw speed turns out to be the wrong tool entirely. Firepower was never the problem here. Time is. Time over the target, hour after hour, and knowing in the dark what is actually trying to kill you. 2140 local, Muwafaq Salti Air Base, Jordan. 2 hogs taxi into the dark, call sign, Hog. He is flying number 2, heavy with rockets and Mavericks, a sidewinder on the rail, a fat tank of fuel under the belly. South, out over the water. He pushes into the strait and drops wave top low until the sea turns to black glass beneath him and his own shadow chases the whitecaps. Below him crawls the ship he is here to protect, a minesweeper clearing the channel so the oil keeps moving, slow and thin-skinned, exactly what a swarm dreams about. No fast jet could hold this station. It would be low on fuel and gone. He can hang here for hours, and he does it with no radar of his own, which means out here, he kills only what he can see with his own eyes. Taped to the canopy rail by his knee is the same photo that has ridden every sortie of this deployment. He doesn't look at it. He just knows it's there. Below, the channel is still crowded with civilian traffic. Tankers crawling north, fishing dhows working without lights, small boats cutting across wakes for reasons that may be innocent or may not. Every one of them becomes a shape he has to understand before he can touch the trigger. The pod finds a hot engine near the coastline. He watches it turn, accelerate, then disappear behind a tanker. For 3 seconds, it looks like the beginning of an attack. Then it slows and drifts back toward shore. Nothing. That is the hardest part of this mission. Not shooting, but waiting long enough to be certain. One wrong decision could tear apart a fishing family. One moment of hesitation could put a missile into the ship below. So he keeps circling, reading wakes in the darkness while the minutes stretch longer than they should. They come off the coast in a knot. 6 boats, then more, winding up to full throttle, bows lifting, driving straight at the minesweeper. No warning tone, no symbol on a screen, just heat and motion in the pod, and a call that lands squarely on him. He rolls in. First pass is the gun, and the gun is the whole reason this airplane exists. Down the center line sits the GAU-8 Avenger, a 30mm cannon that throws almost 3,900 rounds a minute. They didn't bolt it onto the jet. They built the jet around it. He points the nose, thumb down, and the whole airframe shudders as it lets go. That ripping roar American troops love and Iranian sailors have learned to dread. Rounds walk across the water, find the lead boat, and it comes apart. He pulls off and comes back around. And here is where the straight wings pay off, in the plane ability to turn and do it again. A PKW's off the rails, laser guided, one boat at a time, tens of thousands of dollars a shot instead of $1 million missile. Cheap, precise, it doesn't stop. And then the tone, a shriek in the headset, a heat seeker, off a boat he never even saw, because the A-10 has no radar, climbing for the 2 engines above the wings. This is what it costs to fly blind. He has maybe 4 seconds. Flares, brake hard, pull until the G drains the blood from his skull and his own grunt fills the mask. Maybe it takes a flare, maybe it misses, or maybe it clips him, and the only reason he's still alive is the thing the crews call the titanium bathtub. A literal tub of titanium plate wrapped around him, built for exactly this. He feels the jet get hit. He feels it keep flying anyway. He levels out, hand shaking, still there, still over the ship, still alive. And that's when the radio turns the whole night over. Mayday, mayday, Fast Eagle is down, 2 souls in the water. The voice is young and too steady, the way people go when they're all the way past scared. An F-15E has gone into the sea, and its 2 crew are out there in the dark, inside the same threat ring he only just clawed his way out of. He has fuel. He has eyes. He is the nearest thing out here with a gun and a titanium tub around the pilot. So he turns toward them. He has already felt tonight what that water can do to him. His hands still aren't steady on the stick, and he turns around anyway. The jet is only a tool. The choice belongs to the one human being breathing hard into that mask, pulse going like a hammer, running the math no simulator prepares anyone for. A pilot who actually flew the Hog once put it darkly. For all the titanium wrapped around that cockpit, the one part least able to survive a hit is the pilot. And tonight, that part turns around. That is what makes this ugly airplane matter, not the cannon. It hands a human being the chance to go back and a fair shot at living through it. The sortie just described is a composite, but it was built from a night that was very real, and that night did not come through clean. On April 3rd, 2026, an F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, was shot down over Iran. Both crew ejected, miles apart, behind enemy lines. Getting them out took days, hundreds of troops, and dozens of aircraft. one of the most complex rescues in the history of American special operations. And the Warthog was in it. One A-10, its pilot in contact with a downed airman, took Iranian fire. He kept fighting, then nursed the wreck as far as Kuwait before he had to give up on it and eject. He was picked up alive. The jet was not. This machine was never even meant to be here. It first flew in the 1970s, drawn up to kill Soviet tank columns pouring through Europe's Fulda Gap in a war that never came. The war stayed away. The jet didn't. And for decades, the Air Force has tried to retire it again and again, formally, on paper, and every time something stopped it. A budget fight, a Congress that wouldn't sign off, or a war exactly like this one that suddenly needs a jet nobody else can replace, cheaply, right now. Everything about the A-10 was shaped by the expectation that it would be shot. Its engines sit high and far apart, so one hit is less likely to destroy both. Its control systems are duplicated. If the hydraulics fail, the pilot can fall back on a crude manual system and muscle the aircraft home. Even the fuel tanks were built to seal themselves after taking damage. This was not armor added for comfort. It was a survival system designed for a battlefield filled with guns, missiles, and Soviet armor. The engineers assumed the jet would come home wounded if it came home at all. Half a century later, over a completely different battlefield, that same assumption is still keeping pilots alive. Just don't mistake any of that for being untouchable. Against a top-tier Air Force, modern radar, modern missiles, contested skies, a slow A-10 is a target, and every pilot who flies one knows it. Its survival rests entirely on the shape of this particular fight. Shoulder-fired missiles and small boats, not enemy fighters and long-range missiles. It isn't the best jet in the sky. It's the right jet in the wrong decade over the wrong stretch of water. And that is a much stranger thing to be. So picture that opening frame one more time. Wave top low over the water. A tone in the headset. 4 seconds to live. That isn't some old war. That is the Strait of Hormuz right now, inside a conflict most of the world is trying not to look at. In this campaign, U.S. forces have destroyed more than 160 Iranian vessels, and the Warthog has been in that fight. A fifth of the planet's oil still threads that channel every single day. And the jet the Air Force wanted gone? They sent in more of them and pushed its life all the way out to 2030. A machine designed to die in a European tank battle that never came now stands between the world's oil and a swarm of small boats in the dark. So I'll leave the question with you. Is this the last brilliant chapter of a legend that won't die? Or just the story we tell ourselves right up until the day the A-10 meets an enemy it can't outlast? Tell me in the comments, should the Warthog ever be allowed to retire? If you want more stories like this, subscribe.